of the NFL season. Also used to be the penultimate week. Now we have 2 more weeks after this. So we're getting towards the end, though. It should be a fun one. This for anybody who everybody who knows me, who followed me for a long time, knows that I for whatever reasons, usually the last 3 weeks of the season are my best weeks. Because there's so many fringy plays and I'm willing to take way overweight stances probably is the answer. But I'm pretty excited about these because I think you're going to get some really funky stuff. Maybe not as much this week, probably more next week, but there's definitely going to be some funky stuff coming up soon. Any overall thoughts on this particular slate, Cheats, then before we get into it?
No, it's small.
9 games, yeah.
Yeah. So it's I think more of a premium is going to be put on getting different because it's a 9-game slate. I guess that's my overall view. And again, it's early, so stuff will change. Like right off the bat, like in this first game, you have like Jonathan Taylor's threatening to come back. Right. Whether he plays or not is going to be very impactful on both him and Zach Moss for that matter. So
yeah.
But listen, you have a. So it's funny we talked about this with the NBA. You have an amazingly high total game, which is going to be tough to get to, I think. In Dallas, Miami, but maybe we're just supposed to do that. But we'll get to all that stuff. We'll start with Indianapolis. Wait, let me share my screen. And again, this is a very, very early look. I did look at the projections. I ran a couple of builds, but a lot of this stuff is going to change. But remember, guys, there's a lot of content this week and a lot of slates. There's going to be a Thursday. Ooh, what's going on here with this thing?
That was weird.
Yeah, this is very strange. Hold on, let's try again.
Just the more draft. I couldn't edit my lineups for like about 5 minutes last night. And it was panicking me because it was reminding me of those nightmare days that I had. All right.
No, but what I was saying is that so there's a Thursday showdown slate, then a 2-gamer on Saturday, 9-gamer Sunday. I think Monday might be either 2 or 3. I forget.
Yeah, I think it's 3.
I think it's 3. So we'll get everything up there. We'll cover everything. A lot of opportunities to win 6 figures or even 7 in some situations. There's a 555 in the Millie Maker this week, which I like that instead of the Wildcat. It's not going to win anyway. May as well lose when the million's in first. You know what I mean?
Going for the million, right? I'm biased towards the Wildcat because I've come so close to winning it so many times. I've won it once before, but it's been years. But I've literally this year. What do I have? I think I have 4 top 10s in that tournament. I usually play
God,
between 3 and 6. But again, barely have made money on it because it's pretty top heavy. You make 6,000 for 5th place or whatever, and first place is 250K. It's kind of crazy.
All right, so you have Indianapolis against Atlanta. It's in a dome. You have Pittman's questionable in concussion protocol. We're obviously keep an eye on that. I think if he plays. I think whether he plays or not, I mean, you should probably be targeting some of this Indianapolis stuff with Minshew and Pittman and Josh Downs. Now, if in fact, and even some Alec Pierce. Now, if in fact Pittman is a no-go, then I mean, Downs and Pierce are just going to be really, really amazing plays and very highly owned.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. Second thing, on the other side, Indianapolis. I don't really want to play the passing game. I'm not getting that much of Bijan Robinson, which is I'm kind of happy about that. I really don't like playing him. But actually, that's not true. Now I'm looking at this is an early build. Actually, I'm getting about 15% of him. But all this presumes that, again, when I ran this was before Taylor was even expected to be back. So I had 66% Zach Moss, and obviously if Taylor's back, I'll probably have 0 of Zach Moss. So I guess Bijan is considered one of the better plays now that I'm mentioning it. So Bijan, not much else, I don't think, from Atlanta. Although, let's see what Drake London. Oh my God, he's still only 5,100.
I think we got to do some of it.
Yeah, I guess so, huh?
How about Drake London as being the only receiver above 3K flat? They're all 3K flat. It's very weird to do the NFL stuff right after doing the NBA stuff because you see this value. Drake London was the highest scoring player last week, wasn't he? I
think so.
Yeah. So I do like I like this game probably a little bit more than most. My theory. I always believe that the Indianapolis games get wonky, usually when they're in Indy, but this is a dome still.
It's the same.
I don't like them outdoors, but I can talk myself very easily into stacking this game up with Ritter, London on a skinny back, running it back with Pittman if he plays. If he doesn't, either Downs or Pierce, probably Downs, and then using maybe whichever running back for place for Indianapolis is going to be a priority. If Jonathan Taylor plays, he's a super priority unless they say he's limited.
I agree.
200 is too cheap.
I agree.
So I this is right off the bat we like it, and I'm okay with Bijan, but at high ownership, I'm okay with fading it too. I think that he is going to have a decent game here, but the Jonnu Smith Kyle Pitts thing is weird at tight end. It just, we don't like to play. I don't want the double tight end thing unless they're playing at the same time all the time. And they have done that a little bit, but I probably am going to stay a little bit clear, and I'm probably not going to double stack Ritter if I play him. Hope he runs one in for me. It is weird though, because everybody's like, people say, how can you play Desmond Ritter? How can you play Desmond Ritter? Right now, the guy who projects the best of any player on this slate is Josh Dobbs, who literally just lost his job. So I don't know what the hell's going on with the slate. All right. Anyway, we can move on. So
yeah, I mean, you mentioned nobody under 4K or whatever. I mean, I have two guys that, at least this early in the week, that I have more than 20% of that are under 5K. Actually three. Now that you mentioned another one, but we'll get to all that. All right, Green Bay, Carolina. Listen, good call on Jaden Reed by you and everybody else, I guess.
Too bad he got hurt though.
Yeah, he did. But he was obviously very, very efficient. He was really good.
Yeah.
Just feels like a game where, there's not going to be a lot of points scored, not a lot of fantasy points scored. So I'm probably not really getting to too much of this at all. I mean, actually, that's not true. So Jaden Reed right now, I would be getting actually 25% of. So I guess, like you said last week, even though he's more expensive, last week you said he's like a 7K player. And I'm currently looking at the DraftKings salary board, and it says 5,400. So I think $15 value on the Bobby Firestone pay scale. So
I also that was because Christian Watson was out. I meant in that situation more, but I don't think it's the worst idea. Here's what you have to decide, in my opinion, in this game, because it makes so much sense to play Aaron Jones to this week, and this is not high ownership on a guy who, look, he did not look right. Okay, he didn't look terrible, but he didn't look quite right last week when he played. This is the number one matchup for running backs in all of football. It's not. They've just been the worst against the run of any team by a pretty decent amount. It's kind of hard not to want to play some Aaron Jones for me, but I feel nervous about it because I don't like the way that he looked. But I'm probably willing to just overlook it and play him anyway. I do think that Jaden Reed is always going to be in play if he plays. If he doesn't play, then you decide between all these other guys. Christian Watson, though, is now it's weird. I've got him in some places and out some other places. So
yeah,
he's going to put Packers receivers as a question mark. I don't really think we need to do anything on the other side. Do you? There's nothing from Carolina. I couldn't find anything when I tried.
Sure. I mean, you could play Chuba Hubbard if you want.
Yeah, I guess that Hubbard and you know what? They did bring down so much Adam Thielen's price. Maybe that's not the worst idea. Yeah. Hubbard and Thielen, I guess. Yeah, Hubbard's actually not a bad play.
You like playing Mingo? I don't know. Seems like there's better things to do.
Yeah, probably. But that guy's just been so bad. But he's still young. Mingo, he's 36. DJ Shark 31. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff you could do here for value. I think you're just using it for pieces. I like Thielen and Jones seem to make the most sense right off the bat as the things you would want to do, if anything, in this game. All right. Cleveland and Houston. Ooh, this is one I like. Go ahead, Sheets.
Do you like this one?
I do.
Okay.
No, it's great. It's okay. I love
it. That's fine. Case Keenum had a pretty decent game last week, but now he's up against Cleveland. I'm not particularly interested. And listen, I guess if I was going to do anything, I would play the Cleveland guys. Flacco's kind of really, I was explaining this to to my son. He goes back there, and by the way, I did confirm he did win the Super Bowl MVP. Like he's got Super Bowl MVP. He's got like money in the bank. Right? He doesn't give an F. You know what I mean?
I think he does. Have you seen him out there?
No. What I mean is that he doesn't give an F about flinging that ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's not worried about his job. He's not worried about anything. He's going to go back there and force it in there and sling it down the field. He's like a fantasy freaking gold mine. Gold mine for Houston defense probably also, but that's another story. But yeah,
they've been the worst defense in football second half of the season.
Yeah, I get it. They could go up 35 and get 3 pick sixes in this game too. But yeah, I mean, Amari Cooper, I guess, David Njoku, basically the leader of the free world right now. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe we should play this game. I don't know what I'm gonna. Boy, can you play Houston against? Can you play Case Keenum against Cleveland defense? I guess you can if Noah Brown is going to be the only receiver again. I don't know. I'll let you emphasize this game a little bit more than I did, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with the Houston side of it, but let me start with the Cleveland thing. I love Cleveland all over the place in this week. My fear and is that their defense scores like 2 touchdowns and they don't need any of the offense. That's my big. So I guess my biggest hedge will be that I will be well overweight on an already good play.
So could we use all 3 of these guys, like Elijah Moore and Cooper and Njoku?
I think it gets a little too thin doing that because then you need Houston to put up a big number. And with Keenum, it's harder to project that against a good Cleveland defense. But we've seen Cleveland indoors this year. Hey, they've given up like 35 plus points, I think. So I like the Flacco to Elijah Moore is my favorite receiver. One of my favorite receivers on the slate, maybe my favorite. I think that he just suits what Flacco does. Of course, you're going to get irritated watching them because what's going to happen is you'll see like a 60-yard bomb that's going to go for a touchdown, and the guy just drags him down from behind. You get the big PI. I still think they need to find a way for guys to get some points for pass interferences. It's certainly ones over 10 yards. It's like give him a tenth of a point or something like that. Something. But yeah, I like Cooper as well. And they did look for Tillman a little bit last week, which kind of surprised me. But Njoku, it's really hard to argue against him. So I like all 3 of the receivers. And if I'm not using the receivers, I'm totally okay with Jerome Ford. I actually think that Kareem Hunt is a really good sneaky play. They're going to use him near the goal line. They need to win these games. He's the sneaky one for me, but I don't think you probably don't need it. It's really hard to figure out what to do with Houston. Singletary, if he was a little cheaper, I would go that way because I think pass catching is going to be a big part of the game for Houston. On the receiving side, should we even care who else plays if Noah Brown's playing? Like all he does when he plays is get every target and every catch. Maybe that's the simplest answer, just playing him. Whether it's Hutchinson, Mechie, I don't think I'm going to get there. So my first thought was going to be play Dalton Schultz on the other side, but I think Schultz or Brown is my run back here.
Well, if Nico Collins is in, you can play him.
Yeah, it's just I don't know how much I love him with Keenum at 6,800, and he's if he was 5,200 like our guy John Noah Brown.
Right.
And the other thing is, as Nico Collins may be the better. He's obviously the better receiver, but we're just starting to get the glimpses of Noah Brown. We don't know what I don't know. This guy's big. He's athletic. He had 11 targets last week and 8 catches. Now you put him against the defense that's been the worst in the NFL. I'm in, man. I'm in on it. And I'm not getting to any Keenum stacks, but I do think that the Schultz or Noah Brown, if Collins is out, I guess Collins potentially if he's in, but would be the run backs for me. But mostly it's a heavy Cleveland stack. And as we've learned this year in the NFL, you don't necessarily need to have a run back. All right. But who would have thought Joe Flacco might end up being the most popular quarterback this week? Who would have thought this like 3 weeks ago?
Oh, is he going to get ownership?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look at what he's been doing. It's nuts. He played terrible last week. He still threw he threw for the most yards of any quarterback in the NFL last week. He's done it 2 weeks in a row. He's been in the top. He threw for 317 the week before, 373 last week. He's been great. All right.
Yeah. Speaking of a guy who's going to get ownership, let's talk about Detroit, Minnesota. So this game, you're gonna have to tell me what to do here because this game can go I want to say a lot of ways. I think there are 2 ways this game can go. I first of all, my instinct is this game completely busts. Okay.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That's my instinct. Minnesota's defense has been I mean, I would say pretty freaking awesome, actually, last month, maybe even longer. Brian Flores really has them doing good stuff. And I think that they do want to play slow, if possible. With now Jefferson, it is his second game back, so maybe they'll try to listen, if they can get him the ball, that's great. I prefer like the pace of this game if Madison is out. Like if Madison is out, then I don't mind Chandler. That was like one good call of like last week was that Chandler was a good player over there, and that's short Slate. And he's very dynamic, and they could get him the ball out of the backfield also and things like that. So I'm on the Detroit side, and we talk about this. It is in, I don't know if this is that a dome, Minnesota? I mean, it's got to be, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so Detroit in domes, I mean, they can put up points. And, if I'm wrong about my instinct here, of course this game can go freaking ballistic, like usual, like a lot of Detroit games. So I think that you have to play this game or you have to fade it. Good. Thanks, Sheets. Thanks for the value added there. My instinct is it busts, but I'm just curious how these guys are all going to project. I mean, because the thing is, you have a $4,900 quarterback in a game that could go off, and then you have Hawkinson, right? Hawkinson, who could be a really, really good play. Not to mention Jefferson and Addison. So I don't know if that ends up being like the chalk. I think I could fade that. Now it's early, but that's my instinct. How about that?
Yeah, the only issue, the reason I like this game is because there's obvious chalk in this game, and there's a million awesome pivots. Jared Goff being the pivot off of Dobbs. Okay, I know Minnesota's defense has been good. I still question some of those matchups, and I just don't necessarily buy it. I also don't know if it matters that much with Detroit. When they're indoors, they just score. They find a way to score every week. Everybody on Detroit's side outside of Amon-Ra St. Brown will be completely unowned, and Amon-Ra St. Brown will be incredibly owned. I would encourage people to take the guy I believe he's the best tight end season for any rookie in history in Laporta. This guy is projected at 0 ownership. I'm in. Sign me up for Laporta in the stacks. I actually think you could make, you use him as a run back just to get different if you wanted to play the Dobbs thing. I just don't understand, why is Dobbs starting, Sheets? Mullins played well. It wasn't Mullins' fault they lost.
I agree.
Are you sure Dobbs is even starting?
I don't know. I'm not.
I'll tell you what. Who's ever starting for Minnesota is definitely in play for me, and I am going to be on. This is the game where Jefferson.
Oh, look! Excuse me. Why? I'm seeing actually Mullins is playing. How about that?
Yeah. So I think we have to just wait and see, because I really don't think
it says not only that, but it says that Jaron Hall is the backup.
That was. I think it was the last week's news.
Oh, that was December 14th. Oh, okay. So
yeah.
I don't know then. I don't know. Well, I don't know why they would start Dobbs, if you want to know the truth.
Yeah. I don't necessarily know either, but I do know that he's 4,600, and I understand that he's going to be popular. And I just want to play whoever the quarterback is, because I can use Hawkinson at low ownership.
Oh, wait, here we go. December 18th. O'Connell confirmed that Mullins will start Sunday's game against the Lions. I'm really prepared for this thing.
Wow, this is pretty wild. Well, I mean, it's kind of weird because it was
2 days ago. And how do I not?
Well, I mean, more importantly, why don't the projection system seem to know?
Yeah, what the hell?
Interesting. All right. Well, so whoever's the quarterback is, QB, I'm interested in, and I like the Jefferson Hawkinson. I like the double tight end with Laporta, and you can use the chalky Amon-Ra. But I'm just going to point out the most active he's ever been was last week was Jameson Williams. And why can't we play Jameson Williams at 3,700 here today? I know you're going to say there's other value and stuff, but hey, he had 7 targets. They ran design plays for him near the goal line. There was a lot going on there.
He's only 3,700?
3,700.
Dude, and that's the thing. We talk about one thing is targets. The other thing is quality of targets. Like every time they get on the ball, they want to get a touchdown.
100%. That's what I'm saying. I agree. So I'm in on that. Like, and right now I'm not getting to Gibbs or Montgomery. It would be Gibbs for me if I had to, but I like this whole game. I probably will just be overweight this situation. I know that there's going to be some games I'm not that interested in, I promise. But so far, I've had a little bit of interest in each of these things more than maybe most do. All right, you got next. Oh, here's one I won't have any interest in.
Okay, well then you're going to lose.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the Jets game. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, this is on my screen is the winner. This is it. This is
the
wants the plays. These 4 plays are going to win everything.
You might have lost more money on Zach Wilson than I've lost on Jameson Williams.
Excuse me. Against what's their names? They put up 30 points, and Garrett Wilson had 23. Yeah. Had 23 with no touchdowns. So everybody else is playing everybody else against freaking Washington. So these 4 plays are going to win. So the only question is whether I want to run back something from Washington with a perfect correlation with the Jets defense. How about that? That's my only question. But this is clearly winning. Now in reality, first of all, I do think, by the way, that Breece Hall is going to be one of the most popular running backs on the slate. That's for openers. So that's not particularly earth-shattering. But if you get Zach Wilson in the game against the Washington defense and you get Garrett Wilson to throw it to, I like both of that. And Jets defense against Sam Howell dropping back 400 times at Jets at home, I'm in there. So listen, everybody can feel free to play the Millie Maker if they want. But, I mean, you have to have – these 4 are going to 100% guaranteed. You like the way I do that? Yeah. They're going to win $1 million, literally for sure. So any pivots off of these is great. But this is what's winning.
Yeah, I just want to point out the only problem you might run into is that you're talking about the most popular plays on the slate. Garrett Wilson is going to be one of the highest owned receivers, and I like him too. Breece Hall is certainly going to be one of the highest owned running backs. I know. And so if you're going to play it to get a little different, why not throw in Tyler Conklin at 3,200?
That could be.
Or use a Washington run back that's not named Antonio Gibson. I think Gibson's the most logical. If it's up to me, I think the one you go with is the guy who can be a possession receiver, doesn't have to face the toughest matchup. I'll go with Curtis Samuel as mentioned.
Yeah, I like that actually. I like the Curtis Samuel play and you could play Logan Thomas too if you wanted. Yeah, but I like that. I mean, listen, I have a couple of other spots I want to go to. This seems like the easy one to do. Like you said, I mean, this is certainly nothing going to be earth-shattering at all.
But the thing that makes it also so great is nobody else, you can do whatever else you want the rest of you have so much money left to spend if you play this, you know what I mean? So I think that you're in really good shape with playing a little stack there, but I am probably going to skip the Wilson part of it and just spread out Hall and I'll probably skip the Zach Wilson part of it and play bits of Hall and Wilson. I may reconsider that, but I'm telling you, Zach Wilson may end up being like the chalk quarterback because we've seen what happens with Washington.
That's true.
They give it all up, man. And boy, what a shame they took out. Well, I guess it was good for them that they took out Hal, but he was so off of it.
Well, the good thing is that my other favorite is in a later game. So if the Jets are busting or whatever, and let's say I bite and I played Minnesota and Flacco, then I'll pound this other afternoon slate. We'll get to that one later, but that's going to be probably pretty chalky too. But we'll see. All right, Seattle, Tennessee. These are cool things you could say on Wednesdays. You know what I mean? That all right. So it's Seattle's coming off of obviously a ridiculously amazing win. Okay, for Drew Lock, among other people, and now they're going to Tennessee, and the date of the game is December. So I think Derrick Henry is a very good play. That's for openers. Secondly, I don't really know who's even quarterbacking for Seattle. I guess it's got to be Geno Smith, right? Yeah, there it says Geno Smith's going to be quarterback. You're going to have to explain to me, but someone's going to have to explain to Drew Lock why he's not quarterbacking. But then again, he wasn't really good until that last drive anyway.
I'm not 100% sure that Geno does start, by the way.
Yeah, well, Pete Carroll's been very, very clear about his starters, pretty much the whole. So, but listen, it was good to see that, even though it was only a couple of receptions or whatever. But the big one is that on national television, everybody got to see Jackson Smith and Jeepa, show out at the end there. That was, and even Metcalf, having done nothing the whole game, had some incredible plays down the stretch. I'll tell you who's just disappeared off the face of the earth is Tyler Lockett, it seems. Anyway, so I do like Derrick Henry. It would be an interesting bounce back game. I don't think he did much last game for DeAndre Hopkins. He did have 9 targets, but he only had 2 receptions and only 4 fantasy points. This would actually be a pretty good bounce back game for him. So I think one of those two makes sense, either Henry or DeAndre Hopkins. And yeah, why not? What's his name? If Tennessee's still the pass funnel, I don't know. Maybe we should do this. Maybe you should play Smith, JSN, and Metcalf with what's his name? With whoever the quarterback is, Geno Smith. I don't know. What do you like this game at all?
Whether it's Geno or Locke, I'm in on that idea.
Okay.
But I like your run back. I mean, the chalkiest play in this game is probably going to be again Chig Okonkwo. I don't know, man. Like I keep pointing it out to everybody, this guy has not scored 10 fantasy points yet.
He never gets there. I mean,
he never gets there. But like at the same time, yeah, he's 3,100 and he fits into something you kind of like. But I like your guys. I like the idea of trying to get to Hopkins or to Henry. The thing that worries me a little bit about Henry is you kind of need this game like just to stay close-ish. And I still don't think Seattle's defense is like anything special. So I'm okay with going there. But I just would like to see a little bit more out of Henry. I thought that, I don't know. I feel like I understand the season's basically over for them. So I guess that's my concern about it. But he will be very, very, very low owned. I actually think some people are going to play Tajee Spears. I've heard a little bit of talk about that already this week. And I've only listened to a couple shows. But Tajee Spears had, 9 carries last week, and he plays the passing game. If you play the angle that they're down, there's a chance he gets on the field quite a bit, 4,700. Just throwing it out there. But yeah, I think that my favorite plays are Metcalf, Lockett. Metcalf, JSN, and on the other side, you got Henry, Okonkwo, and Hopkins that you're deciding between. But I don't like this game quite as much as the other ones for what it's worth.
So the 4:00 games, we have Jackson, Tampa, Arizona, Chicago, Dallas, Miami. I think it's very easy to say that that these 3 games could combine for like 175.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what the total is on the Jacksonville Tampa game, but I imagine it's very similar to the Chicago one. Let's just see. Well, Jacksonville Tampa I see 43 according to SaberSim, and Arizona Chicago about 44 or whatever, and then obviously Miami Dallas is 50 or whatever it is. But I think all 3 of these games can explode, and it depends who's in for like a lot of these things. So I guess we'll just start with Jacksonville Tampa. So I would just like to say something. When Baker Mayfield was he was given like a shot. Remember to play a couple of games on the Rams, right? Yeah. And whatever. I mean, he was pedestrian, whatever. But he had one nice comeback. Remember that? Like when he was on the Rams, or whatever. I had this like vision of him. Listen, you knew he wasn't going to be stick around or whatever. I had this vision though of him like going in and like. After like one of the games or whatever, just talking to the whole team. I don't know if this actually happened, but in my universe, this could have. And talk to the team and talk to like all the players and the coach. And said, listen, I really appreciate like this opportunity you gave me. I was essentially out of the league. You gave me an opportunity to at least do something. I hope I latch on to somewhere or whatever it is. And I'm telling you, if it weren't for the Rams, like Mayfield would not have played. I don't think like ever again. Yeah. And listen, he's got his act together, whatever it is. He found a nice situation with some good skill guys and whatever it is. And I know several people won $1 million with him yesterday. I don't know them, but you know what I mean. But I know a lot of people are very, very happy with him. So Jacksonville, Tampa, this game could completely go ballistic. It just can. And on the Tampa side, you could have a bounce back game from Evans. You could play Godwin, who finally decided to get his act together. Rashad White, even the tight end is pretty good. Jacksonville, we got to see who's playing here. But Zay Jones week to week. Ridley's obviously always good. Ingram's pretty good. Agnew was my big showdown play, but I don't know if I can. I shouldn't say that. Like if Zay Jones is out, you could certainly consider Agnew, certainly in late slate stuff. Maybe even in main slate stuff. I don't know. He's another one with the what you call it, the efficient, the high value target sort of. Mm-hmm. And again, you want another $3,800 guy. I mean, again, if Zay Jones is out, but maybe even if he's in, that Parker Washington guy from Penn State. You could play him. So I think this game is I mean, certainly score a lot of points.
Yeah, I don't have any interest in either quarterback personally. But I think Baker's actually going to get a little bit of love, which is weird because you're looking at like no ownership on his receivers. So I'm not really sure how that's going to work. I guess you'd play him with Rashad White. Rashad White's going to be really popular. I'm good with White. I don't have like a love or hate or anything. I just feel like, man, it's fine. I'm not, you know, my rule. ATN is way too cheap, so I might have to adjust it, but I don't like taking running backs against Tampa Bay.
Yep.
I may adjust it because ATN is so cheap. But the biggest misprice to me, and I know he hasn't completed a lot of these. If we do get Trevor Lawrence playing, Calvin Ridley has 25 targets over the last 2 weeks. Now he only has like 11 completions on those targets, and he had a terrible call in the end zone that a touchdown.
Yeah.
I think that Calvin Ridley is like the low-owned superstar play of the slate. The problem is if Beathard is the quarterback, Jones is still a good value, but I don't know if I want to double stack Calvin Ridley and Jones.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
And Evan Ingram is projecting incredibly well.
Right.
So like it's a little tricky on how you would go about this one. Godwin and Evans, I think you could decide between them. I like Evans. In general, I actually like Godwin better because of the price, but Evans, I think bounces back after a disappointing week last week. Not getting the Cade Otton this week, but again, you know what? Let me rephrase that. If Chig Okonkwo is in play, then Cade Otton's in play. At least Cade Otton can do some things. He almost won me $1 million. Like he's put up 20 fantasy points before. You know, we don't need to play the Chig Okonkwo at 30% ownership and skip Cade Otton. Maybe we do just play Otton. I actually think that's probably the thing I like the best. So I'm a little lower on this game. We're a little bit on different pages today. It's kind of fun.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Arizona, Chicago. I mean, how do you not like this one? So let's talk about this one. So Justin Fields was originally my first builds. I was getting like something like 40% of him. And very happy about it. If you want to know the truth. Justin Fields with DJ Moore. I'll play Cole Kmet. Then you can obviously play your double tight end lineup with Kellen Winslow on the other side, with Trey McBride. Not to mention Connor from Arizona. And listen, people can continue to try to lose money on Marquise Brown when but he didn't play last week, right? Oh, or did he not play? I forgot what happened, actually. He got no targets.
He's just, I don't know what's wrong or whatever happened with Kyler. It's just not happening between those.
Yeah, Rondell Moore, 3,500. I mean, this game can go off. Let's just put it that way. So,
yeah.
Anything to add? Anything to emphasize?
Yeah. So I don't think that Arizona gets like any ownership this week outside of Trey McBride.
Really? Okay.
And Trey McBride will be one of the top 5 highest owned players in the slate. And look, it's really hard to question, well, I guess, okay, let me rephrase this. It seems very hard to question a guy who's getting like massive target. Like look at his targets, 9, 9, 7, 9, 9, 11. Yep. Fantasy points, 23, 22, the last 23, the last couple games.
And he's talented as hell.
Yeah, but that's the reason why Hawkinson and Laporta are going to be unowned.
Yep.
So you can play him with those guys, or you can fade it all together and take a shot on Michael Wilson if you wanted to stack up this game, for example.
Yeah, that was a rough one last week. He got ownership. He got ownership last week.
He got ownership, and he had, I believe he had 3 targets, and all but one were in the end. Oh no, 3 targets in the end zone, and then one was I believe it was an OPI on somebody else.
That's very interesting. Because that doesn't show up in the game log, right?
Yeah. Well, they don't show the red zone targets, but I'm just going off memory. I was watching it because I was hoping he just did something. Give me 7 fantasy points. That's all I wanted from him. I don't know what they're going to do on Chicago's side. The most obvious thing in this whole slate is just Fields to Moore, I think. Like, I don't even know, yeah, the way it's not going to fail, but the way that it fails is just that somebody else scores more, because I don't know if Justin Fields is capable of having a bad game in this environment. I need to know what the weather's like. If this game was in Arizona, it would be even more just completely insane. I don't know who the running back is for Chicago, and I don't think they know either. But Deontay Foreman is kind of projecting well, which is kind of weird. So Moore, and the main parts are Moore, Kmet, and Kmet is too cheap. I mean, even if you're not playing this stack, I think you have to get exposure here to these Bears. So Kmet, Moore, and then Fields. And by the way, like if you want to do something really weird, maybe, I don't know, after he dropped the one last week, maybe Darnell Mooney is something we could consider. Another one, he had 8 targets last week. Remember, it was in Cleveland in bad weather. So they had a lot of targets, but no completions. He only had 2 catches, but he's had 2 catches, the same thing the week before, 7 attempts, 2 catches. I think I might take a little gamble on a Darnell Mooney maybe to get different if I was to stack this game. And as far as run backs, I think, look, McBride is the obvious one. You're going to have so much ownership, though. I'm just encouraging, like you said, maybe James Conner's the answer, Sheets. Maybe that's the way to go. The problem is the Bears defense has been awesome. It's been like really, really, really good. They should have won that game against Cleveland. Really, really crazy that Mooney dropped that Hail Mary too. But that's the only thing that worries me is the Bears defense maybe being a little too good. All right. And then we've got the crazy shootout one.
Well, let's first talk about the most important,
Tyreek Hill
thing is Tyreek Hill, because right now I had Tyreek Hill listed as, projected as out.
He'll play.
Yeah. But my point is that if he doesn't play, then you're going to have $3,200 Cedric Wilson.
Yeah.
Not to mention $3K Braxton Berrios.
Right.
Now, I don't want to spend too much time on this point, but they announced that I guess this is my bad. I don't know, but they announced Tyreek Hill out with like plenty of time, before 1:00.
Yeah.
Last week. And I just presumed that Jalen Waddle was going to be like 25% owned, and I just didn't feel like
it's the worst matchup in football against Gardner.
Yeah, didn't feel like dealing with it, whatever. But there's no excuse for him being single digit.
Hey, you're preaching to the choir on this one. I had a lot of them. So
did you? Yeah,
the only lineups I cashed in was my Waddle. I actually had the Waddle and Mostert together, which was looked like it was going to be the fire of all fire, but didn't quite. Pan out the rest of them.
So we have to watch and see who's going to play. I unfortunately, I'm kind of priced out of the Tyreek Hill business at 9,600. I think, and it's kind of like weird to say. It means he's going to get 40 whenever he plays, whatever. But I'm going to be priced out of that. I'm not. I don't think I'm going to get there. As a matter of fact, with the exception of maybe, I shouldn't say that. Maybe I'm getting to some CeeDee Lamb. Not much though. I have to say, like currently, I would only be getting to some Cedric Wilson, presuming that what's his name is out. I'm really not getting to too much in this game. Are they all priced like that high, or is everybody else that good of a play? I'm sure I'll end up playing some of this at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's. I think there's some stuff going on here with the projections. I think the Tyreek Hill is throwing everything off because right now CeeDee Lamb looks like the highest owned receiver on the slate. At 9,200. So if we can get to Tyreek Hill at 9,200, I'm sorry, if we can get to CeeDee Lamb at 9,200, I can certainly get to Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I'll find a way. Yeah.
Pollard and Lamb are going to be the chalk in this game. I'm just going to remind everybody we've seen huge performances out of Cooks this year, and that's a thing you could do to get different. I also like Ferguson. He's in that in between price as a tight end. So and I still don't believe Miami's defense looked good last week against Zach Wilson and all them. I don't necessarily believe that their defense is awesome. So. Jalen Waddle is the chalky right play, and the Cedric Wilson is the value. I think that makes the most sense. They're not using Craycraft the way they did at the beginning of the season, so I can't go back to that. But I'm going to go the opposite of what you usually say and actually say that I think you should prioritize playing one of Miami's running backs. Look what James Cook just did to Dallas. The Dallas's numbers against the run they're actually way worse against the run than their numbers are. Because remember, they've played so many games up 4 scores where everybody's just throwing the ball. So they're running, they looks like they're running, it's just running attempts. Their yards per carry, they give up, I think they're like in the bottom 10 in the league in yards per carry. And now you put the 2 most explosive running backs in football, basically, outside of Christian McCaffrey. I'm in. So they're too expensive. It's hard to figure that out, but they are definitely going to try to run the ball down Dallas's throat. And Mostert and A-Chain, we all know that, look, it takes them breaking one play and then getting those goal line carries, and that's pretty much that's what they do every week. So I love that idea. Like Tony Pollard being 22% owned or whatever he's going to be versus either one of those running backs, and they always get there. Mostert is usually my preferred one. This week, I might say that A-Chain they're pretty close. I think Mostert is probably slightly ahead of A-Chain, but it's really close between them. People need to remember something too. We all talk about Christian McCaffrey, how he has 20 touchdowns and how incredible this is. You know who has 20 touchdowns or 21? Sorry, no, you said 20 only. Is Raheem Mostert. He leads the league in touchdowns along with McCaffrey. And some of that was without what's his name, Mostert, but I'm sorry, without A-Chain, but he just ran for 2 last week with A-Chain. And I think that's what I would like to do with this game, because you have zero ownership on these guys. And I think if you play those guys, that you're going to feel really, really good. And you can also make a pivot. Like if your lineup feels so good, you want to feel comfortable, you play Pollard, okay? But if your lineup is a little bit shaky, or you want to gamble and go for it all, then you play A-Chain or Mostert. And I think they're pretty close between the two of them. So a lot of different plays we went through.
And there's a lot of things you could do, by the way, in those late games. I mean, if you're playing Trey McBride, for example, you could change to Ferguson if you want. And screw around there. Yeah,
I totally agree. I like I like this game, but again, not maybe as much as I know. I like it a lot. Okay, I'm going to probably be overweight this game, but I'm just going to do it in a different way. I like the Arizona-Chicago. I'd like it better if it was in Arizona. I'm into this Indy-Atlanta thing. It doesn't feel right, but I'm into it. I like the Cleveland stack. I don't necessarily.
I'll tell you, for a 9-game slate, I mean, we like a bigger percentage of this slate than like some of these others. You know,
this is the most I've liked a slate or liked in a slate this whole season.
Yeah.
And I don't really like entirely. Partly, it's just I think the pricing. Maybe it's because we just did an NBA show and all the pricing looks all like reasonable. I like the Cleveland side. I don't necessarily think that I like a run back, but I like that stack. Minnesota, Detroit. I like the Jets side of things, but I don't really want to use Zach Wilson if I don't have to. I still may use him. And then I like the Seattle only of that side of it. I don't want to play any of the quarterback. I don't want to play any of the Levis, I don't think, for Tennessee. But I think that the main things for me will be Miami, Dallas, and I think Indy, Atlanta are probably the two that I'm going to be the heaviest on.
Yeah, I'll tell you what's interesting is that I don't know.
And Cleveland stack.
I don't know if there's like a quarterback that like has a huge ceiling on this slate. In the 1:00 games, at least. Who's getting over 30?
Justin Fields would be the answer.
Yeah, I meant I said the 1:00 games. In the 4:00 game, it can be Fields or certainly either of those guys from the Dallas Miami game get over 30.
Yeah, the afternoon games for sure. I think you may be right. Well, there is that weird. You could get that weird 2-touchdown game out of Desmond Ridder, rushing. He may not even be the quarterback. It might be Heineke, by the way. Okay. So actually, I think it's a reasonable chance it's Heineke. So all this stuff to know. Like, look, we record these guys Wednesday morning. It's going to be a big change by Sunday. I mean, I've already seen 2 different quarterbacks starting since we started this today. So. Yeah. We're going to have to fine tune it, but we will be live as usual, 11 a.m. Oh, wait, will we be live, Sheets? Yeah, it's the day before. Are you good?
What day? What was that? The 24th? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So we're good. We're good on that one. I'm also going to try to go live for the other slates, but it's going to be a little tricky because there's a crossover NBA and NFL on.
Well, we'll figure stuff out. Don't worry.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, please like and subscribe, and look forward to seeing you guys Sunday at 11 a.m. It should be an interesting slate, and we'll make a lot more sense of it than we can now.